In today's video, I am going to be breaking down OG Anunoby and how he shoots the basketball. Let's check out his basketball shooting form. Really quickly, if you want me to break down your basketball shooting form, make sure to check out the link down in the description below. Send me your footage, and I will be able to break it down and give you tips, drills, and workouts that you can use to improve your shot. Okay, so this was one of the greatest shots that he has ever made in his entire career. So let's get down and let's actually break down this form. Really quickly, what do we see? Well, what we do see is as soon as he catches that ball, he's already on his toes. He knows that that's going to engage his calves so that he can get up into the air much faster. This is something that you can actually incorporate into your game, and he usually has his shoulders pretty well in line with his knees and in line with his toes. That's going to allow him to have a very balanced shot. When he does catch that ball, he doesn't have much of a dip at all. He tends to catch it already dipping down, and then when he starts to go up for a shot, he doesn't have that much dip at all. He tends to bend his elbow first and raises that ball up into his set point when he's going up for a shot. He has a very similar to a one motion shot, and overall this is a very nice looking shot. We can see that his shoulder and elbow are in line with the rim, and we can see that that ball is pretty well over top of that upper arm, which allows him to have that shooting triangle I always talk about. He has good transitional movement from catch into shot, where we can see that he raises that ball up into his set point at the same time as starting to unbend his knees and hips. Remember, we have to really shoot a lot from our hips. This is a major part of our shot, and he's able to do that here. And then even this year, we can see that when he pulls up for a shot, when he's coming off that dribble, he goes left, right in this clip, but he doesn't have a dip at all. He gathers that ball at the waist, and then he goes straight up for a shot. This is what allows OG to have such a fast release. And then when he goes up for a shot, we can see that he does have a slight tilt away from the basket. Obviously, the basket is in this direction. He has a slight tilt towards the baseline, which is good because most players will find that they can get their shoulder and elbow in line with the rim with a little bit of a tilt. The old school way of teaching shooting is to have your body squared up to the rim, and that just doesn't work for most people. This is why shooting percentages have really ballooned and skyrocketed over the last 10 to 15 years. We can see that he does stay off of his heels when he's going up for his shot. He unbends his knees and hips at the exact same time, which will allow him to really get a lot of power from his hips to get up into his shot. Now, when his body goes completely straight, that takes, as soon as he leaves that ground, that's when his body goes completely straight. I also really want to point out that when he shoots, he has a slight sway to his legs. And this is something that a lot of players will have in their shot that will give them more distance, but I also really want to point out his high release. This makes his shot really hard to block because his elbow is well above his forehead, and that's going to give him the arc on that ball. And then when he does take these shots, he really does get low. Why is that so important? So you get most of your power from your legs and your hips when you take that shot. And when you get lower, it's not just about bending your knees, it's also about bending your waist as well. You really want to have your shoulders over your knees and toes because that's going to give you, for one, a balanced shot like I've already mentioned, but that's going to give you more power to get up into your shot. And he does have a somewhat two-motion shot. However, he does, depending on the situation, have a one-motion shot as we've seen in that first earlier clip. And even when he does a quick fadeaway, this is something that so many players make a mistake on, not at the NBA level, but at the younger youth, high school, middle school level, is when players do a fadeaway shot, or even a spinning fadeaway shot like this one, they tend not to kick that shooting side leg out. And that's going to get your right side in line. But there's also another thing I really want to point out about his shot, and that is when he is shooting, this is a picture perfect fadeaway because he is not bringing that ball too far back or too far forward. So many times when a lot of players take fadeaways, we will see them compensating for their tilt. But in reality, if you shoot with a 90 on your shoulder and a close to 45 on your elbow, guess what? You need to keep that when you're doing that fadeaway. You shouldn't be bringing that ball up any higher or forward. You need to keep that same shot. Let me explain. So when he goes up for this shot, we can see he has a 90 on his shoulder and he has roughly a 45 on his elbow. When he goes up here, we can see that he has a 90 and a 45 on his elbow again. This is consistency. You want to keep your body consistent when it comes to shooting. This 90 degrees, this 45, this same hip bend, same knee bend, you want to keep the same every single time. And the farther out you go, the more power you're going to need from your hips and more power you're going to need from your legs. You should not be changing anything about your upper body. The only time that you can change your upper body that should not affect your shot is when you're going for a quicker shot. You can turn to a one motion shot and you should still be able to drain that. And we can see this here. When he goes up for his shot, he doesn't freeze at his forehead. He needs to get that up because there's only 0.2 seconds left on that clock. And because of that, he's able to go up with a one motion shot. And you should be able to practice both of these. A two motion shot for some players will reduce the power, and for one motion will give you more distance. However, with a one motion shot as we see here, that's going to allow you to get that shot off faster, especially when you've got literally no time left on the clock and a very good defender trying to block your shot. I hope that these videos and this video specifically helps you shoot the basketball better. Remember, go check out the link down in the description below where I can break down your shooting form, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.